Hey, what's going on? Let's see who's going to come in on YouTube. We're also going to stream from TikTok. So let's see who's watching. What's going on? I got 3 people in here. What's going on? What's going on? The jury is out. What's up, Megan? Just my lame self. You're not lame at all. But let's talk about this. Because I have a serious question, and of course I'm going to talk about it again Wednesday night. What's going on? Hey, Christy, how are you? Am I sick? No, I have sinuses, so it does what it does. But I'm also going to talk about this too. And sorry about that. Because I do have a bona fide question. It went down to 2. Okay, well, I guess people are so people are so used to the Wednesday nights. I guess people are at work right now. But I do have a bona fide question. And maybe I should just keep it to just you guys on YouTube and then maybe go live on another platform some other time. You can't answer. Oh my God, y'all are serious. Y'all are silly. So let's talk about it. So I had a chance to watch the closing arguments of, hey, Timothy, thank you. No problem. Um, I had a chance to watch the closing arguments of the prosecutor in this case. And we're talking about the case of People versus McMichaels, ETL, which is Latin for and others. You said too cold up here? Yeah, you could tell I'm wearing different stuff. Yeah, the closing arguments I think were terrible. I do. And let me ask you this question. One of the things that I said that I focused on was while this death was a very tragic thing, I'm looking at it from the perspective of this statement of a citizen's arrest. And if you look at it, I'm going to put up a 1 second clip that kind of came, not a 1 second, but a 1 minute clip that came from Court TV, which I think it is very important that any of you all are watching. I think that you got to be careful whether you think you're on the right side of the law or the wrong side of the law, whatever the case might have been. One of the things that you could definitely do to destroy your chances, okay, is to sit here and make a statement to police. Look, this isn't an anti-police statement. This is a self-protection statement for you. A great percentage, like any defense that the defense attorneys could have mounted, it gets heavily hindered when you make rest just stay or excitedly uttered statements or even written statements, structured statements, whatever, to the police. It hurts your case. It really does. It can't help it. It hurts it. And that could have perhaps hindered any defense that was viable, in this case. You know, I see this, like I said before, as a detention gone bad. And I think that it is a travesty when I kept going back and hearing the arguments from the prosecution where they were trying to paint Gregory and Travis McMichaels as just citizens. They're not just citizens, even though they are citizens. You understand where I'm getting at? Like, these are 2 formerly trained, heavily experienced former police officers. And so, if we're talking about having a jury of your peers, yeah, it's tragic for sure. But if we're talking about a jury of your peers, analyzing whether or not you committed an action that was right or wrong from your viewpoint, from your lens. Yes, they both were. Gregory is a retired police officer and a former investigator from the county state's attorney's office, And then Travis McMichaels is former United States Coast Guard boarding officer, went to FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia. So they're both former law enforcement officers. And so the problem that I have, and those of you who don't have time to watch, you can come back and watch. And it's gonna be a repeat of this same statement. It's gonna be a repeat of this same statement tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm looking at it from a perspective of these are not ordinary citizens. These are formally trained law enforcement officers who are used to operating under the actions of a Terry versus Ohio, which is reasonable suspicion. You see what I'm saying? And so the citizens arrest statute does not do these two men justice because a ordinary citizen with no law enforcement training and experience would be more likely to oblige or more likely to comply with the if it ain't that serious, I'm not going to pursue. And even if it is that serious, leave that to the police because that's what they do. Versus these two who are used to going into danger, minimal or large, who are used to pursuing after people from mere traffic stops up to murder. You see what I'm saying? They're used to operating on Terry versus Ohio, which is reasonable suspicion and pat down searches to, probable cause, facts and circumstances known to the person at the time of the arrest that the person likely committed the crime. Not enough evidence to convict, but enough evidence to arrest. They're used to operating on that and have operated on that continuously. I liken that to a canine, right? You got a narcotics canine who actively alerts, right? And a handler protection type dog, a dual role type canine. Once that canine is pulled from service, those habits that they have don't just die, right? If a person's trying to attack the family, they snap back into their instinctual role. You see what I'm saying? They're snapping back into their instinctual role that I'm handler protection. Let me do what I know to do. Or I just haphazardly smell narcotics. Let me actively scratch because that's my habit. That's what I do. And so that's the problem that I have with this case is that the defense allowed the prosecution to go down that path without checking that these are not, though they stated verbally, citizens arrest. That can't be their mindset. Gregory has years of experience operating as a law enforcement officer. So he doesn't have the training or the mind. That's just like, how somebody who's special forces or someone who's like, and I'm going to look at your comments. So I know you're commenting. I got you. That's like someone who's special forces or someone who's an MMA fighter or someone else who has a different class of skill. They operate differently. They think differently. Now, Timothy, I'm going to go with your question or your statement. You said they should have called the law unless it was life or death. They should be put under the jail. You're entitled to your opinion, and likely they are going to be put under the jail. But I'm going to tell you this: it's not going to change anything. Okay, it's not going to change anything at all. You say they should have called the law, Timothy, but I wonder where you live. I wonder if what you may have to comply with the citizens arrest law because you are definitely not the police. That's not you. That's not even close to what you do. You see what I'm saying? You that's not you. But I can't expect you to see from the perspective of a police because you haven't been that. You see what I'm saying? So you haven't been in that skin, right? The skin, that uniform. So I respect your opinion, sir. I salute you to it. And I have to apologize because I become so passionate about my stuff and what I believe based on my training experience and habits and stuff like that, that I forget that you have the right to have your opinion and your beliefs because of the lens through which you see things. So I salute your opinion. Christy Mayberry, you said, Timothy, where they were on the phone with the cops, which they were, I think when the government says, I'm going to go to here we go. I think when the government says you think the law was broken, then look at it now. I'm trying to see what you're saying, William. I want to think about that for a minute. And I see some more people are coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share this conversation because I want to get more of you guys in on this. This is definitely something worth of note. See, but they didn't have to state citizens arrest because the situation changed so fast. They didn't have the chance. It became deadly force before they could. Absolutely. I think that what if he would have stopped? Not saying he had to. You see what I'm saying? We're not saying that anybody had to stop. Did the McMichaels have to chase? No. Did Ahmaud have to stop? No. Could the McMichaels fight and defend? Yes. Could Ahmaud fight and defend? So yes. So there is no have to, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? But what if Ahmaud stopped? What if he was the person on those cameras? What if he had taken some things? Here's another what if. What if he never would have stepped foot on that property and just kept on jogging? You see what I'm saying? What if that's the case? What if that's the case that he would have kept on jogging and never went onto that property? Would we even be here? It's amazing that, the prosecution says, well, what if and who started this and who started this? And it's like, yes, granted, criminal trespass is a misdemeanor, but Gregory and Travis, in their former law enforcement experience, are used to stopping persons that are misdemeanors. And so, where is that fine line where you can then, as a former cop, as a former, federal law enforcement officer, which Coast Guard boarding officers are, they receive the same training, right? Absolutely. When you come from my gun, you get shot. I agree, but where is the fine line where once you hang up your sheriff's hat and you turn in your sheriff's star or shield and you hang up your duty belt, as I'm still looking at my duty belt right here, at my old duty belt that I used to wear when I was a police officer. I'm looking at it right here, hanging on my door. When you hang up your old duty belt, do you then take the knowledge you have gained out of your brain and then hang that up too? And is that reasonable? If we're looking at the argument from a reasonable, prudent person of the type of experience that the defendant had, is it reasonable to suggest that someone whom the government, be it city, county, state, or federal, has spent so many dollars on, has paid so much money toward, and has given them the opportunity of honing in and practicing their experience, is it reasonable to say that they should give that up? Is it reasonable? Elijah Israel says, a brother just died attempting to make a citizen's arrest. Yes, I mean, that is a risk that does happen. Megan, you said he said duty. Okay. Megan, the problem with that thinking that it was completely legal for Kyle to be there. Okay. In Minnesota, you can make a citizen's arrest, which I'm just finding out like right now. After seeing this case unfold, I'm sure I'll never attempt to make one, even if I witnessed a crime, and that's sad. Yeah, I'll give you another one. In Illinois, Chapter 725, Illinois Compiled Statutes Act 5, Section 107-3, a private person is authorized to, or I'm going to read to you the statute verbatim. Any person may arrest another when he or she has reasonable grounds to believe that an offense other than an ordinance violation is being committed, and you're allowed to use the same force you would be allowed to use if you were subject or summoned or directed by a peace officer to make such an arrest. We're going to talk about this more on Wednesday. I'm going to put the statute on the screen so that you'll be able to see, and so this comes into question the law of citizens arrest from state to state. Now, Elijah, you said, can you point a gun? Yes, you absolutely can in certain circumstances. Here's the reason why. In certain circumstances, and context matters. Is it a unreasonable belief, or is it unreasonable to believe, right, that Ahmaud could not be armed? I'm not talking about whether or not he was armed, but is it unreasonable for them to believe that Ahmaud could not be armed? It's not unreasonable. I don't know if you could put your mindset in the mindset of a police officer, But think about it. Gregory and Travis McMichael had all these years of experience actually carrying firearms. How many people, right? How many people have they pointed firearms at who did not appear to have a gun? How many people appear to not have a gun, but then later has a gun? You see what I'm saying? And so, because of those uncertainties, a reasonably prudent person who is now a citizen, but a formerly trained, highly decorated and trained police officer would think otherwise. And so the honing in on this citizen as though they are just citizens with minimal training is not reasonable. Is that, you see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. But see, here we go. You said, but the burden of showing intent of citizens arrest, but I think that, yeah. You said the capability to rule different verdicts depends on where you are in this world, gives a different outcome. Absolutely. It is almost predictable to locations not to make a citizen's arrest. You said brain fart, Mike. Read Megan Tassin's comment, then the way I phrase my comment will make sense. Okay, let me go back and read it because I don't want to ignore you. Which she said a lot of comments. Here we go. Megan said, you said the whole cow case, he shouldn't be there. Well, this case, he shouldn't be there. Okay. We can read yours again. Here we go. Every citizen is given that right for a citizen's arrest. Yes, Megan, that is true, but it is jurisdictionally dependent. Like in Georgia, you can't make a citizen's arrest unless one, it's a felony and it occurred in your presence or you have immediate knowledge. In other words, it is rapidly unfolding. Where in Illinois, right, any person may make an arrest, okay, if he has reasonable grounds to believe that an offense other than an ordinance violation is being committed. That is, not has been, right, but is being committed also denotes that it is something that's going on or within maybe a few seconds, maximum 30 seconds, possibly a minute. In other words, it does have a timeline to it, right? But then within that timeline that it is being committed, reasonable grounds, right? So we can make an arrest based on a Terry stop. Because if you look at Terry stop, 392 US 1, Terry versus Ohio, that's reasonable grounds to believe. Reasonable grounds and probable cause are two different things. Reasonable grounds is, yes, I have grounds. Those grounds are reasonable. Okay. Probable cause is, yes, I have cause to believe that you probably did it. It's a higher standard, you know? And I think we're not being fair about that assessment. I only have a few minutes to go because I have to get ready for my next class coming up. Okay. Let me read some of your comments. You said citizens cannot do a Terry stop. Yes, citizens cannot do a Terry stop. Jurisdictionally dependent, though. But these are not average citizens. This is not the mindset of an average citizen. I hope you all are getting where I'm going at with this, because if we don't look at it from the context of an average, it's almost like it's a benefit to being, I don't want to say stupid, but you get what I'm saying, though, right? I hope you get what I'm saying. It's almost like it's a benefit to not being educated, because if you have a benefit to not being educated, then you can claim ignorance to certain things. Now, Bladius, you said, hope I'm saying your name right. Everybody has a right, or everyone has a right to perform a citizen's arrest. However, everyone also has the right not to be falsely imprisoned, and states and cities balance those two rights differently. I know what you meant, Bladius. Hey, Sneaky D, what's going on? Absolutely, I understand, but no one taught the jury this, and that's the problem that I have, is that as a I don't want to say as a prosecutor because that's the prosecution, but as the defense attorney, one defense attorney that I definitely liked, even though the outcome was not in his client's favor, was I liked Derek Chauvin's defense attorney. It's almost as if he was a teacher, right? It's almost as if he was teaching the jury about the law, because jurors don't understand that. Putting the jury in the perspective of a police officer could be subjectively dependent upon whether or not they support or hate the police, whether they can dislike the police but understand that perspective, which is hard to do because you have bias. Whether, yeah, I loved Derek Chauvin's attorney, because at least you saw him teaching the law, not attacking the arguments of the prosecution, more so like pity pat type attacks as Rittenhouse's attorney was doing. And I heard his after action, so to speak, or after trial interview, and I get him, but you want to teach the jury. Same thing that Johnny Cochran did, teaching. Yes, using theories and using the relevance of the things that was going on at that time, but you have to teach the triers of fact, because unlike the judge who has years of jurisprudence and practice, the jury does not know. And I think that's an issue right there, is that how do I not put how do I try to do something for my clients and get them to see from the perspective of my clients if I'm not taking the steps to teach them where I want them to go? And you've got the opportunity to do that. Instead, the defense tend to focus on humanizing the defendant, Travis McMichael, and then crafting him towards the ideals of community, which is true. Community is cool. But you're not putting the jury, at least if I was a juror, I wouldn't get it from the perspective of thinking about it like a police officer, because you didn't put me in that framework. See, I think one of the things that hindered Travis McMichael and Gregory, I didn't hear too much of Gregory's attorney's arguments, but I definitely heard Travis because he was the one who pressed the trigger. I think that he spent too much time, just focusing on community and not placing them in the mindset of a police officer. And I think that, like I said, I was starting to say that, but I lost track. That word citizen's arrest, it's like the lawyer, the defense attorney had, and I'm gonna look at your comments. I got you guys. The defense attorney had no other choice but to focus on citizen's arrest, because that was Travis's statement. Like, that was their statement. So if your client said citizen's arrest, you got no choice but to focus on citizen's arrest, because to say anything other than that, you would give grounds for the district attorney or state's attorney or whatever their title is. You would give grounds for them to impeach continuously from the fact that, well, your client said citizen's arrest, so their mindset was citizen's arrest, instead of not focusing on the citizen's arrest, but focusing on the mindset of a citizen who was once a formally trained police officer, who was, we can argue erroneously, but you can still craft the jury to understand the mindset, to cast reasonable doubt. Yes, Megan, shit. Oh my God. It was a horrible choice to have the son take the stand. Especially, I would say not only just the son, it was a horrible decision to have him take the stand, because now you've got the instrument of impeachment in your hand, and these are stamps. You get what I'm demonstrating. This is demonstrative of the statement that you made. So now we get to impeach you on what you said on body camera. We get to impeach you on what you wrote, right in the middle of the physiological trauma of what you underwent as a person in this incident, regardless of which side you were on, whether you were the suspect or the defendant. You see what I'm saying? Well, here's this. You said, Megan, I believe this in this case, the attorneys knew they had a weak case because of public opinion, so the attorneys set up appeal grounds. But Megan, let's look at another comparative case, right? George Zimmerman. Did George Zimmerman make a statement to the police? I don't know. I got to go back and check, right? But the case becomes weakened when you open your mouth. You see what I'm saying? If you go back and watch the prosecution's closing arguments, they said It was a citizen's arrest, right? They were focusing on a citizen's arrest. Why? You heard it from the defendant's own mouth. You heard it from the defendant's own statement. How many times do us concealed carry or firearms instructors or lawyers or whatever the case may be, how many times do us within that box tell you all shut the fuck up? You see what I'm saying? But you can't just wholly shut the fuck up, because that would be Salinas versus Texas. Your silence can be used as an indication of guilt against you. So you have to activate your legal be quiet. How do you do that? Officer, I was involved in this situation. Even if you were the victim, if you were the victim and you believe you were the victim, officer, I was the victim of a crime. Or, officer, I was involved in this situation. I need medical attention. I invoke my Fifth Amendment rights. I want my lawyer. One of the things I cannot stand about USCCA, and I'm going to go on ahead and say I'll give fuck, right? One of the things I cannot stand about USCCA is that I hear reps saying all the time, officer, that guy tried to such and such my life. If I did not do what I had to do, I would not be around to talk about it today. Why the fuck would you sit here and say that shit? So now you're giving a defense attorney something that they have to fight. The rest just stay excited, uttered statement that you made under physical duress. Why would you advise your people to say such a thing? That's dumb as shit. So, and see, that's the purpose. Ohio versus Rader, 532 U.S. 17, 2001. Innocent statements, if given, may provide a causal connection for the government to connect you to something that could give them grounds to fucking prosecute you. The purpose of the Fifth Amendment, which states that no person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself in a criminal trial. It is believed that, well, shit, if you ain't got nothing to hide, why would you not talk to the police? That's not the purpose of the Fifth. Though guilty folks, right, use the Fifth to not say anything, right? It's not limited to just guilty folks. You know, innocent folks can use it too. You're not trying to provide the government a causal link to convict you. And so the thing is, like you said, Megan, no one knows. The state has to prove a case, so they are not going to help you. They need you to have a case. Yes. Yes, USCCA recommends doing that. That's weird. I could swear they had the same advice as you on statements under duress. Look, yes, officer, and I hear reps saying it all the time. Don't fucking make me prove it, because I got the video. Look, officer, that man, I am a victim of this. I did what I had to do. If I didn't do what I had to do, I would not be around to talk about it today. What did you just admit to? You just admitted that you did it. Let the evidence prove that shit. Let them do their job. Stop giving them shit. Because for Travis McMichael, that is the perfect example of what the fuck you don't do. And the thing is, I'm going to say it and motherfuckers going to be mad, but it is what it is. The worst, I say again, the worst people to give advice to average, ordinary citizens on what to do post use of force action are the police. You have been the police for far so long, you don't know what it's like to think like a suspect. Except if it's a police use of force situation, then you shut the fuck up. Oh no, that's not what police officers do anyway. They'll sit there and they'll talk to their boys. They'll talk to supervisors. They'll sit there and start giving statements, and then the union person has to tell them, shut up. Unless you are giving Garrity rights pursuant to Garrity versus New Jersey, shut the fuck up and ask for your union counsel. Shut up. And I'm telling you all that, watching this, even a truthful statement, as innocent as it may be, pursuant to Ohio versus Rader, 532 U.S. 17, 2001, it can be used to help the government provide a causal connection to not only have probable cause to arrest you, but proof beyond a reasonable doubt to convict, because all throughout that McMichaels case in the Aubrey, Georgia versus McMichaels, all throughout that case, the state's attorney just kept on saying, listen to the defendant's mouth, listen to the defendant's statement, listen to what the defendant said. You said that shit. So even if the defense attorney wanted to craft an argument around not citizen's arrest, because you're not a fucking citizen, even though you are a citizen, but your mindset isn't citizen. Your mindset is, you've been a cop all this time. Because I don't have the badge on, I don't have this, I don't have that, I still have that mindset. So I was operating in that mindset. A defense attorney could craft that and make that an argument to cast reasonable doubt. But no, you had to fucking just go off the hinge and just tell them, because, well, I'm a victim and these are one of my boys. I'm a victim. These are one of my boys. Well, how's it working out for you now? And you law-abiding citizens who carry firearms, this is what I'm talking about. You need to be looking at that McMichaels trial, and you need to be learning what not to do. Whether they're convicted or not, that's a foregone conclusion. If they get convicted, fine. If they don't get convicted, that's fine too. And the court of public opinion don't always decide shit, because look at the George Zimmerman case. They were all for George Zimmerman getting convicted, and what happened? He was found not guilty. I'm just saying. One could argue that George Zimmerman started to shit on Trayvon Martin, but guess what happened? In Florida, Republican town, conservative, he was found not guilty. So you don't know how this McMichaels thing is going to go. They may just say, well, they forgot to tell us to think about him as being a cop. Didn't he say he was the police? Well, do the police do that? Police do that all the time. Well, he wasn't thinking like a citizen. He was thinking like the police. Shit. Ain't you glad to have the police that going out around chasing after folks and stopping folks from doing small stuff? Because small stuff become big stuff? Well, by God. Yep, I like that shit. So if we convict that, what are we saying? We don't want our cops who live in the neighborhood who ain't the police to help? No, we don't want to say that. Well, guess we're going to find them not guilty, ain't we? Yep, that could happen. You don't know. You're saying the laws were different in Florida. What I'm telling you is this, Megan. You're not understanding what I'm saying. People versus O.J. Simpson. Did the law prove him guilty? Fuck yeah, it did. The jury did what it wanted to do. You understand what I'm saying? Jurors are the triers of fact. They don't always have to stick with what the judge says they must do. I'm just saying, right? They don't always have to stick with that. And what happened? Judge Ito didn't set aside the verdict and decide to, well, I think the evidence found him guilty, which he very well could have, but he didn't. He let the decision of the jury stand, which is typically what happens. So there is the law, there are the facts, and then there's the jury. Anybody's guess, right? That's all I'm saying, Megan. You said, my last comment to reinforce your point, Mike, former police officers are held to a higher standard than an ordinary citizen. So why can't they use your argument? I get you, Mike. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And not only are they held to a higher standard, right? But they're also allowed certain leeway, right? In that certain leeway. That's why you have Terry versus Ohio. Can we say it was a good faith attempt to apprehend someone who they thought matched the description on those continuous videos where he was entering property that was not his? Yes. Did the good faith attempt go bad? Yes. It's not the only time in history that has ever happened. It has happened before, and it will happen again. Does that diminish the sensitivity that should be applied to this tragedy? No, it's just stating a fact. These things do happen in those types of actions, especially if you attack somebody with a gun. They're going to instinctively shoot. Yes, they didn't even prove good faith or bad faith. Why? Because the argument was so honed and focused around citizens' arrest. It was so focused around citizens' arrest. There was no time to even consider taking them out of the mindset of an ordinary, reasonable, prudent citizen, which they are not. These are former law enforcement officers, and there's not no cadets either. These are guys who are trained. Yes, the case is very muddy. That's all that I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. You know, gotta go take care of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go too. I gotta go on ahead and get ready in about 20 minutes. I need about 20 minutes to do some of the things that I'm doing right now and get up out of here. But I just want to come on live and just what it's been 35 minutes. So that's a good amount of time to close it. You said because they didn't follow the law and instead used favors to try not to go to jail, then guy with video screwed that. Which one are we talking about? Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, Megan, I get where you going because they actually tried to. I ain't gonna lie. We ain't gonna lie. Here we go. Gregory and Travis McMichael probably tried to use the y'all know me. We're cool, good old boys. That is something that does happen. And they tried to use favors to try to not to go to jail. And the guy with the video screwed that. Yes, I get what you are saying. I get what you're saying. Now, I don't want to say the guy with the video screwed that. I'm actually glad that Mr. Roddy or whatever his name was, that he recorded it because I think I read one of your comments before where one of you all said, yeah, I was all for guilty until I saw that video. They had the whole boxed in and trapped like a rat. Those were the statements of Gregory and Travis, and I believe even Roddy. I don't know, but they were their statements. Why would you say shit? Why would you say that? Why the fuck would you say that? Now, granted, is what it is, right? But we got to be careful under the influence of stress to practice just saying certain things. Survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Those of y'all who know what that is, that's SERE training, right? In SERE training, what happens? The person gets pressure tested to see if they will break under pressure. See, a lot of y'all who carry guns, you don't pressure test yourself. You know, have you ever gone to someone who could help you practice your statements and what you would say in the event you pop scenario-based training? What would you say? You know, practice interrogations. What would you say to protect yourself? You've never been in these situations. Well, I hope to God I never have to get any. You could get in that situation. You don't know. I don't get it. And see, people like me or better than me sits here and says, you need to go get more training. People just don't listen. Just don't listen. So of course you don't know what to do. Of course you don't know what to do. Trying to see if I can find that comment. Yeah, I can't find it. So you stop and call the police when there is a tug fighting and you try to take your gun. Yeah, that's a valid question. What is that? SERE. Avoid, deny, and counter accuse. Is that what you're trying to say? Dead serious. You said guilty. All right, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about what you can, take from that. That's all I'm talking about. You're entitled to your opinion, dead serious. Thank you for your comment, though. Both of these cases are helping me with my concealed carry decision. Yes, the video showed he had out to right, but I think if no video came up, no case. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if there was no video, yeah. If there's no video, no case, yeah. I don't know, though. I don't know. There was no video in Trayvon, and he still got charged. So I don't know. That's why I said we got these things are fun. You got to be a student of the law and of outcomes too if you're carrying a gun. You got to be. Like, you really have to be. Don't think you don't have to be. You have to be. You have to be a student of this because you guys are saying no video, no case. These are absolutes. And the one thing my experience leads me is that you got to avoid that absolute thing. You're saying yes, but they had connections in small town. Sanford, Florida ain't that big. Yeah, okay. Megan, you're a law student. You're probably a 1L, 2L, or 3L. Law school and law practice are two different things. You see what I'm saying? And though I may not be a law student, I definitely have experience out there in the field. And you can ask your law professors, like, watch this guy's video and see what he says. Is he somewhere on board? And he'll be like, yeah, he makes valid arguments. He may be missing this or missing that. See, that's why if I ever go to law school, when I ever go to law school, oh my God, it's gonna make me worse, good worse. Because it's like understanding the law and arguing it and being able to craft arguments and influence people, being able to those are all different things. Those are all different things. You said you have worked at law practice for 10 years and law enforcement officer. So it's hard, but I see both sides. Megan, I want you to be careful when you say certain things like that. Here's the reason why I want you to be careful. And I got to end it here. So I got to get up out of here. I have worked with law enforcement officers who have been on the job for 20 years and didn't know shit. They occupied a position, but what they did is a different story. So being in a position and then actively working in that position, you see what I'm saying? Like you could be a doctor for 20 years and never perform surgery, and all you did was teach. You see what I'm saying? You could work in law. You could be in a law practice for 10 years and be a legal secretary and not really, you see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to diminish your experience whatsoever, but understand where I see it from, because people typically use their occupation as a pedestal of authority to be able to speak from, instead of understanding that being in something and working actively in it are two different things. That's all that I'm saying. You said, will I be talking about the Waukesha Parade tragedy Wednesday? Yeah, I will. I will. I will. I will. I will. You said all of these cases should be an eye opener for anyone carrying or considering doing so. I fear for my life is not the fix all, my dude or lay. I don't know who you are, if you're a guy or a lady. I don't know. The usernames get confusing. But all these cases, yes, should be an eye opener for anyone carrying or considering to do so. I feared for my life is not the fix all. You must be ready and informed of what comes after a self-defense. You are absolutely correct, because a person like me will ask that question, what is that fear? Because and here's this. Damn, you guys are great. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you hit the like and the subscribe and the share button, stuff like that. But what that fear is subjective. It's subjective, right? What you may be afraid of may be different from what you may be afraid of. So that fear needs to be defined. It needs to be subjective. And so when you got people like, or better than me, right, who gives you some type of analysis, be a tabula rasa, be a blank slate, be an open mind. And I don't want you to accept it or reject it, whatever. I don't want you to like it or dislike it, but in all you're getting, get an understanding. You need to understand the rules of engagement, the differences between fear, how to be able to articulate certain things with your attorney, of course. You don't articulate anything to the police, because nothing you say can help you. It can only hurt you. Federal Rule of Evidence 802 D2A. Nothing they say can be used for you, can only be used against you. So what benefit do you have in providing them your story? That doesn't mean you have to be an asshole about it. That doesn't mean you have to be snappy and nasty about it. But I can calmly say I was involved in this situation. I need medical attention. I invoke my Fifth Amendment rights, and I would like my lawyer, please. I don't have to be snappy, because they have a job to do too. I understand their job. I'm just not going to put myself in. I'm not going to even say that. I was involved in this situation. You said now the I feared for my life gets a lot of police officers out of jail time based on facts and circumstances in a given situation, right? But again, you might not be able to do what the police can do. And in this day and age, it doesn't get the police officers out of stuff, because the facts and circumstances still matter. Hate the police, love the police, that's fine. Look at what their situations are, okay? My goal in life is to help after seeing things for years. I'm currently studying law because if on force cannot post publicly, got it. So I've stayed, okay, good job. So I've stayed home now 3 years. Good job. Are you going to LSU for law school? I thought about that. Thought about going down there. Oh my God. Charles, you are right. Subjectivity is unfortunately misunderstood as objectivity. And you are correct. It's supposed to be objectively. If you look at certain cases like Graham versus Connor, that's supposed to be the objective reasonableness of the force you are trying to use. What force am I using given the objective that I am trying to achieve? And is this objective lawful, right? But when you look at force, people want to use it subjectively through their lens of what they would do when they've never been in these situations before, so they don't know what they would possibly do, right? Yeah, LSU, good. I do not think that words help anyone truly see anything through anyone's eyes. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I agree with that. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know if I agree with that because it depends on how you're able to craft that argument. It depends on how you're able to reach the jury. And some of these lawyers come in with lawyer confidence instead of coming in understanding how to look at it from the people's perspective. You know, if you don't have the ability to be able to reach and connect to the people that you have serving on your jury, if you don't have that passion, if you don't have that body language to be able to reach them and craft an argument, be a great orator, like or hate Barack Obama. But when Barack Obama speaks, no matter whether you like him or not, people do listen. You may hate his guts, but when he speaks, he has a way of speaking where he commands your attention. And you can say what you say now, but he commanded your attention for 8 years. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, even this, Donald Trump, like him or hate him, he has a way to command attention, command the attention of those who may not even like him, but you'll sit there and you'll listen to him to see what he says. Because like it or not, you hate the visceral words that may come out of his mouth. Bill Clinton, look, I'm here to tell you, I did not. He has a way to be able to reach people. Speech. It's always about your audience. John C. Maxwell said it best. It's got to be about the audience. Everyone communicates, few connect, right? That's his book. Everyone communicates, few connect. It's about your audience. The minute you forget about your audience, you lose them. And we can argue that's what the defense attorneys in the McMichaels situation did. You didn't craft your narratives to the audience. I mean, it didn't help their statements and what they said, but it was just weak. It really was. Look, I'm here to tell you, Christy, and I did not go on that roller coaster, but I might have. I might have. God damn it, I might have. God damn it. All right. All right, cool. You said you can't make anyone know the fear of looking down a gun barrel. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. You said Johnny Cochran was an excellent storyteller, and damn the evidence, he got the jury to side with the story. That's because he said it. Evidence does not win the day. Jurors like stories. Our job is to make the other side, our job is to tell the story better than the other side tells theirs. You see what I'm saying? And so when he went in with that mindset, he just used the tools that was around him and crafted stories that were relatable and simple to the jury. So you see what I'm saying? I don't know if I agree with you that you can't make anyone feel the fear of looking down a gun barrel. You got to go back on my other YouTube videos, Megan, and I got a lot of them. I have plenty of cases and plenty of situations where in training, I scare the shit out of my students purposefully to get them to understand the fear that police officers may feel in given situations. You have to be a storyteller and never allow your pride to make attack on the other side or persons. Well, you can't attack that's different because Johnny Cochran did attack Marsha Clark and Chris Darden in certain respects, but it was subtle, in certain cases, and it was overt in others, and then there was the things that we saw outside of the presence of the jury in the cameras and inside the presence of the jury. So they knew exactly when and where they could do their attacks and say their little things that they could say. So you saw it. You saw it. You saw it. We just got to pay attention to those to have charisma and class as you present things. Yeah, I do. And I appreciate that. Man, good stuff. I'm always recommending people to your CCL classes, but I'm going to have to come and take a few myself. Do you offer a defensive pistol? Yes. Yes, I do. Yep. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And there's a lot of basic stuff that I'm going to be posting on here too, because sometimes people take a concealed carry class and then they want to get right to this thing called advanced, like advanced gun shooting, advanced gunfighting, advanced. I talked to a guy, I think he's got a fifth or seventh, is it fifth special forces out of Fort Campbell when I was forward deployed. And I just happened to be in a DFAC. And, he sat there and I asked him, I was brazen enough to ask him, um, and not in a condescending way, what makes you guys special? He was like, look, man, if you order books today, how long is shipping to LA? Megan, I think Christy, I know you're still here. Text me Megan's email, or Megan, if you want to, y'all talk and your phone number, whatever. I can ship the books out today. I got them in my car with me. I'm looking at a box right now. I can ship them out to you. It shouldn't take long, maybe 6 or 7 days, unless you want me to do it like next day or second day or express. We can discuss. But I got the books for you for sure. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Louisiana. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh. Well, Binger made the jury feel the fear of looking down the gun barrel. He pointed the AR at them, finger full wrap around the trigger. Yes, that was stupid. God damn it, that was stupid. Uh, you said I run into that with my students. Everyone wants to learn how to shoot. Well, the first thing you have to do is learn when not to shoot. Oh my God, you're so correct on that. The website is whatitellmyselffirst.com. I'm gonna put it in the comments. Or you can reach out to me, because then I can just give you a discounted price, because that's typically what I do. If you buy direct from me, I'll give you a discounted price. If you go through my website, matter of fact, go through my website, what I tell myself first.com. There's a form where it says book Mike. You can put your information there and then it'll come directly to me. And then I'll reach out to you directly where you could get the books at a discounted rate. That's what I do for people who support me directly. Yeah, no. Yeah. So go there, whatitellmyselffirst.com. Okay. Whatitellmyselffirst.com. Go scroll down to where it says book Mike. Put your information in there and I'll contact you directly. My phone will let me know when that form hits and I'll contact you directly. And then I'll make it worth your while. You'll be fine. I appreciate the support. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah. So, like I was saying about advanced training, and then I got one more minute. Christ. But advanced training, people want to, I hate that word advanced. I just call them sessions, right? Sessions, because just learning the basics. That's what that guy said out of Fifth Special Forces. He's like, what makes us special is we just do the basics over and 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 over again, like repetitions of just basic, just basic stuff, to where under pressure we perform instinctively, flawlessly, almost like how we walk. You know, it's a difference between when you shoot every once in a while to where you shoot every day, just doing the basics over and over again to where it becomes instinctual, you know. And so that's why I just don't call them advanced classes. I just call them sessions. You're just doing an hour session with me, another hour session, another hour session, and then we're documenting. I'm in the process of creating another journal, just a separate journal of firearms training. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Megan. I want to create a journal where you can begin to document your training. Where you would put that document, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you where to put it. Just but you need to, document how many repetitions you've done so you can keep track of your progress where you are. Notice this is one thing that I'm doing to help you understand. It's called catch the fist. You're just doing, trying to build up your ambidextrous grip skills. Catch the fist. You make a fist, catch the fist, catch the fist. And I can just sit here and just do this, right? So that way, when I do have a firearm and I can't use a real firearm in this live, or YouTube will kill it. But if I'm switching from right hand to left hand to right hand, it's automatic. It's instinctual. It's automatic. Why? Because I've been practicing all this time, you know, just this, going from one eye to the next, one eye to the next. That way, a fly gets in your eye, in your dominant eye, you can automatically, instinctually switch. You don't have to think about it. It's a force of habit. Okay. The basics, repetitions. We could sit here and do an hour session of just this, just this, starting slow and then building speed. Why am I doing this? Because we're building habits. It's building blocks. It's a journey, not a destination. You know, Repetition does imprint anything in life. That's what helps people with learning paths catch up to the professionals. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. 12:02. Said I was going to do it. See me on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm out. See ya.